Now on WRDE Coast TV.
Over 800 boats, over 400 boats, I should say, $8 million in prize money. It is day one of the 49th annual White Marlin Open. I'll tell you what's been going on here at the scales at Harbor Island.
And a scene out of a movie. A storm carries umbrellas out to sea. Hear from those who lived this in person and what can be done to try to stop it.
And stick around and I'll show you the different levels of winds that it takes to snatch that umbrella out of your hand.
From the beaches to the bay, coverage you can count on. WRDE Coast TV News, first at 5:30. Your local news hour starts right now.
It is a great day for fishermen across Delmarva. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf. We begin tonight with the kickoff of the White Marlin Open. It's the first of 5 days of this 49th annual event. WRDE's Matt Pensick live in Ocean City. And Matt, the scales there at Harbor Island, they've been open for just about 90 minutes.
And both during the week, with the weather and where they put their money.
Maddie, more and more people making their way to the scales here at Harbor Island to get a look at the big boats and the big fish. Let's take a look at all the people that are here. How's everyone doing out there? Everyone is having a great time. It is a party scene, and the scales opened at about 4 o'clock, so they've been open for about 90 minutes now, and we haven't had a lot of activity. Just within the last half hour, 2 boats brought qualifying fish to the scales. We're talking about prize money, $8.6 million worth of prize money, and it's about $600,000 less than last year's. That was over $9.2 million, but still, it is a tidy sum as we talk prize money of the 49th annual White Marlin Open.
We're still really excited. We think $8.6 million is an incredible purse. Not that surprised given the cost of fuel and things like that. We knew that that would be a challenge, not great offshore weather forecast. But we're really excited. We think that, 408 boats is most certainly a success, and we're looking forward to a lot of fish being weighed.
Now, White Marlin, that is the biggest payout, but there's also payouts in other fish categories, blue marlin, tuna. This year they've added swordfish, and again, so the total purse, $8.6 million. This is the 49th annual White Marlin Open. It is, now stay with me here, billed as the largest billfish tournament. So we will talk billfish coming up in our 6 o'clock hour, along with some of the celebrities who are participating this week. One familiar name, but I think he's early on in the fishing in this tournament. More on that at 6 o'clock. Until then, with coverage you can count on, I'm Matt Pensick, live in Ocean City for WRDE Coast TV News.
Thank you, Matt. Well, it was a sunny but incredibly hot afternoon in Georgetown. A couple of people getting out to walk the trail at Sand Hill Fields. And Paul, it was hot, just no way around it. Hot, hot, hot.
And it looks like it's going to stay hot, hot, hot yet again at the very least. Now, currently, we actually don't see a heat advisory in our immediate area, but actually just to our northwest, we have an active heat advisory that's in effect and stays in effect until 8 o'clock for Tuesday. But as far as our immediate area is concerned, well, now that concern is going to be dealing with the problem with dealing with winds. Now, we have actually a small craft advisory that's going to stay in effect for us from Lewis down throughout a good portion of the coastal region. Now, this means that we're looking for wind gusts that are going to exceed beyond about 25 to 30 knots, or up to 35 miles per hour. Now, you'll notice, by the way, that as we kind of zoom in a little bit tighter, you'll notice that that's not actually inclusive of, let's say, Ocean City, where we actually have the tournament that's going on right now. So this is falling just shy of where the tournament is located, but we are indeed expecting for it to still stay a bit of a challenge for us as far as right off of the Delaware coast is concerned. Now, with all that being the case, winds are going to be our biggest deal. Now, speaking of winds, winds have been a big deal, actually, when we talk about how the storms have been shaking in and shaking out. Just so you know how much wind can do what damage and cause what inconvenience. Well, a 3-mile-per-hour wind can move a leaf. A 28-mile-per-hour wind can move a 96-gallon garbage can, but believe it or not, a 67-mile-per-hour wind can move the average person. So when you get anywhere between, let's say, 25 to 67 miles per hour, well, now those winds can really start pushing you, and we'll talk about the winds picking up during Wednesday's storm. But for right now, we're going to blow this right back on over there to you, Maddie.
Paul, thank you. And speaking of high winds, do you remember this video? This was the scene in Sea Colony Friday night. Umbrellas flying left and right, just barely missing the beachgoers still out there. And we spoke with one man who said he left the beach just in time.
Went from very short and sweet to terrible really quickly. So almost hurricane. It was wild.
There were no reported injuries, and interestingly enough, those just north in Bethany Beach say no umbrellas took flight during that storm. The ACLU of Delaware getting involved in a legal fight over a vanity license plate. The ACLU of Delaware has decided to step in and represent Carrie Overington's lawsuit against the Delaware DMV, who called her, quote, F cancer license tag in June 2021 offensive and recalled it. Before the ACLU of Delaware joined, Overington filed for a lawsuit in federal district court. That case was dismissed by the judge, who cited that the case raised, quote, significant constitutional issues, end quote. The ACLU says they will challenge the Delaware DMV's decision, what they call censorship, against Overington's rights to freedom of speech.
As the ACLU is the defender of constitutional rights, especially your First Amendment rights to speak and express yourself. We said we need to get involved with this case because it's a really important topic and one that deserves somebody fighting for Ms. Overington's rights.
The ACLU will file its complaint, which will then be answered by the state. It could take several months for a trial to begin. The Georgetown Historical Society is responding after receiving renewed criticism for having a Confederate flag on its property. The society says in 2005 it offered both the Sons of Confederate Veterans and the Delaware Union Group a chance to erect a monument. But the society says the union declined the invitation. The subject of funding for the Historical Society, as the Confederate flag remains on that property, has been a continued debate, most recently in the Georgetown Town Council. If you've ever gone out to eat or shop in downtown Milton, have you ever struggled to find a place to park? Well, many people, myself included, have, and the Town Council, they're going to try to stop that. The Milton Town Council has formed an ad hoc committee to evaluate this parking situation, specifically downtown. The committee consists of council members, business owners, and people who live in town, planning to tackle smaller issues like repainting parking space lines, proper signs, and helping police enforce parking rules. Eventually, those on the committee hope to address larger issues like maybe a permanent structure. Councilwoman Lee Rivas-Plank said that the parking issues impact everybody in town.
The business owners have been vocal, but the residents have been vocal too. So it's a common issue.
The committee is meeting for the first time August 22nd at 5:30 at the Milton Public Library. All the meetings are open to the public. The Food Bank of Delaware is accepting applications for its free culinary workforce training program. The culinary school will meet in person for 14 weeks. Students learn basic and high-end kitchen skills along with participating in a 2-week paid work experience. The Food Bank says students also have an opportunity to earn a culinary certification during the program. Classes will begin Monday, September 12th at the Food Bank of Delaware's Milford branch. Interested students can sign up for the program until Monday, August 29th on the Food Bank of Delaware's website. Well, still to come, one of the newest additions to the nation's summer capital as we soar over the shore.
And more dangerous heat is headed our way. You can see the 100s that are going to clock our way, and storms will soon follow.
But first, singer and star Olivia Newton-John dies at the age of 73. We'll take a look at her life and legacy. That's up next.